Hello, my name is River. Recently, I got into the Metroid series. As you may know, the fifth game in the mainline series just came out on October 8th, I believe. 2 Fridays ago, from when I'm recording this. And I've just been having a good time with playing the games. I've played a version of all five of them. I haven't played the Metroid Fusion games or any of the 3D ones. Um, is yeah. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to do a tier list of the 2D Metroid games. When I do inevitably play Metroid Prime 1 through 3 and Other M, I'll update my tier list to include those. But for now, these are the only ones I've played. So let's get right into it. So first on our list, I think that's Return of Samus. So Return of Samus is one that I haven't played all the way, but I do have an opinion on it because I have tried to play it. I think that it is a product of its time. I feel like every time I've tried to pick it up, I just have not been able to sit through it. And that's unfortunately how I feel about a lot of games like pre-Super Nintendo. I didn't have a Game Boy original when I grew up. That's a bit before my time. So, I don't know, like, it's not a bad game, certainly. I've played a fair amount of it. But yeah, I don't know. I just can't I think but what I have played of it, I think I'd have to put it in the C tier. Just because it's no I'll put it in B tier, and I'll explain that later. But it improved a lot on the mechanics of the first game on NES, which I have played to completion. Metroid 2 introduces a lot of things that that became staples for the rest of the series, like the Varia suit. Shooting in multiple directions is one thing that it added. But there are also things that take away from it, like it being on a very, very small screen and Samus taking up a lot of the screen. Kind of wanderingness. Like the first two games definitely suffer from not having a map. And I know that they're the originals, and but you know, like, it's my opinion, they are a product of their time. I can't say much more than that. So next, in order of where these are shown in the tier list I pulled up, is Metroid Fusion. Metroid Fusion is I don't know, controversial, but it's divisive amongst the Metroid community. It is the second game in the Metroid series that I actually finished. I played Zero Mission, and then I went straight to Fusion because I saw the Super Beard Bros play it. And I was like, before I finish this playthrough, I want to actually play it myself. I do not regret that decision. I absolutely adore Metroid Fusion. I wish I had played it before. I think where a lot of the complaints are from it being a linear game, and I understand those complaints. For me, I'm not... Until I played Metroid, I haven't been really good at more complicated games. Like, unfortunately, was the kind of person who really needed a game to hold my hand, and Metroid Fusion really helped me get into the rest of the series because I mean, Metroid Zero Mission was handholdy to an extent, not definitely not nearly as much as Metroid Fusion. Did I say? Yeah, Metroid Zero Mission holds your hand to an extent, but not nearly as much as Metroid Fusion. Um, but I don't think that the way Metroid Fusion executed the hand holding was bad. I think that it was necessary for the story that it was trying to tell. Uh, every other one so far, yeah, no, that's what I'll say. So for those reasons, because I enjoyed it so thoroughly, it gets an A tier rating by me. Oh no! Wait a minute, wait a minute. This is Metroid 2. That must be not. No, this is. Okay, that's. Okay, that's AM2R. Cool, okay. AM2R is on this list. The only one that's not on this list, I assume because it was made before Dread came out, is Dread. So I will talk about Dread at the end and I will give my rating. So since I didn't, since I improperly rated, let's just go straight to AM2R, which is one that I did play. Not a Nintendo official game, so if that's not your jam, then that's fine. Like, totally fair. It does Metroid 2 so well, and you can say what you want. I haven't played the full game. That's totally fair, but it is an amazing Metroid game. I honestly can't even believe how good of a game it is. I played all the other ones except Metroid 2 and Dread because I played AM2R before Dread came out. It was not. It was just difficult enough for it to be engaging, but not so difficult that it was frustrating. I mean, the animation work in that game is incredible. The bosses were fun. They add some because Fusion takes place on a space station that is trying to emulate the environment of SR388. And since that came out before the AM2R remake, the folks who made that remake, the fan game, were able to add some context that was added to the planet, like with that one boss. I can't remember what his freaking name is, but the big snaky guy that goes like, and he's like a really hard boss in Fusion. He's an excellent boss in AM2R, and you get to see him in his natural habitat. The one thing that I have heard, and I have watched videos on, that is kind of a rough thing for both remakes, is that neither AM2R or Samus Returns quite gets the ending right. In the case of AM2R, there's just kind of like lots of music and stuff, whereas in the original it was a silent hallway walking down with the baby Metroid. Or maybe not, it wasn't silent, but the last area didn't have any enemies. I don't know what point I'm trying to make. I just know that it's lots of people's opinion that neither remake did quite a good job at landing the ending. From what I've seen, I would be inclined to agree, but I can't include that in my decision for this my tier because I have not played the original, so that wouldn't be fair. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. That is why Metroid AM2R gets an S tier, because no, it gets an A tier, but it's at the very top of the A tier. It's better than Fusion. Next, NES, Metroid NES. This game is rough, guys. It is great for people who grew up with the NES. For me, a baby boy who grew up was born at the tail end of the Super Nintendo's life. I don't remember a time when the Super Nintendo was not a console. The games I played when I was a baby were N64 games. So there's just been so much polish since then. Games are like the NES was so limited. I did play through this game, but it was rough. I had a printed out map for me so I could follow where to go. And I understand people used to make their own maps in the back of the day, but that's just not how I grew up playing games. It's rough. It's hard to manage. You can't shoot downwards. You can't crouch. Kind of little direction. You kind of have to wander until you find stuff, and that's cool for a lot of people. I couldn't even finish the original Zelda. To be fair, that one is also really hard. It's an NES game, but NES games usually just aren't my jam, with the exception of like Super Mario Bros. 3 and Super Mario Bros. 2, and well, Super Mario Bros. 1 is. Nah. Anyways, that's not the point. So I don't really know what else to say other than that. It's a hard game. Every time you die, your health goes back to 30, even if you have multiple health upgrades. You can't really get a good groove until pretty late in the game when you get like the space jump or whatever. And so for that reason, I put Metroid NES at the D tier. It is just... Let's move Metroid 2 to C. Yeah, it's just not... I don't know. It's not amazing, guys. Don't kill me. Now we have Samus Returns. Samus Returns... So here's my chronology of playing these Metroid games. I recently ran through all of them. My first Metroid game I finished. Hello? That was spooky. The first Metroid game I finished was Metroid Zero Mission. Second one I tried to play was Super Metroid, but I was too dumb to finish that. And then I bought Samus Returns. Tragic story. Oh yeah, I beat Fusion, then Samus Returns. Tragic story is, I really wanted to get through that game. But when I was playing that game, we were in the process of a move from one place to another, living space. And I had a case of 3DS games and DS games. Some of my DS games were in there. Most of my DS games were in there, including Samus Returns and all my Pokemon games. It got lost in the move. I don't know. I've looked through every box, every bin, everything, every possible place I could look for all my DS games, and they're just not anywhere. And so I ended up not finishing Samus Returns on my first playthrough. That being said, I did digitally download it as soon as Metroid Dread was announced. And I ran through it in like 3 days, and I had a blast. It was a perfect game for me to get into. It was not too challenging, but just challenging enough in my opinion. I did have some issues with it. And these issues are probably just issues that persisted throughout from the original, so I can't... It's just Spider Ball takes so long to get anywhere with. There's just... That's my main issue with it. But it also added a lot of stuff that made it into Dread. Like, Samus Returns laid the foundation for Metroid Dread. And you obviously, if you're a Metroid fan, you know that Mercury Steam created Samus Returns, and then they ended up being the developers of Metroid Dread. And Metroid Dread is really good for a reason. And so I think you see where I'm going with this. Samus Returns is an excellent game. It's one of my favorite Metroid games. That's why. I don't know if I could put it there. I think AM2R is just a better game. But, Fusion? Yeah, I'll keep Fusion at A. But, Samus Returns, for how far I played through it the first time I played through, is a big part of the reason why I got into Metroid. Originally I bought it because Metroid Prime 4 was announced and I saw all the hype. Everybody who's been Metroid fans for years just starts talking about it, talking about the series, and I'm like, wow, I better get into this series. So I picked up Zero Mission, played through that, and then yeah. And so, but here we are, I did it. And I got the squishy baby boy Metroid amiibo too. I don't have it with me in my hands, so I can't show you. Anyways, now Super Metroid, instant S tier. I had trouble getting through it. I regret to inform you that I was so bad at it. I got stuck at the part where everybody gets stuck, where you have to hold the run button to run across the crumbling blocks thing in very early in the game. I got stuck there. I got stuck in a few places. I started it several times. The last time I tried to play it before Dread was announced was early this year. Maybe it was like right at the beginning when the COVID-19 pandemic started. My dad was in the hospital in Vancouver, and Kaylin and I were house sitting for my parents while they dealt with that, and I brought my Super Nintendo Classic Edition, and I played through most of it. I got right to that one boss that has all the little babies that carry it away when you kill it. I got right there, and I just could not beat it. But however many months later, when Metroid Dread was announced, I thought, hey, it's my time. The first I'm going to buy Samus Returns, play through that, then I'm doing Super Metroid. And I fucking did it. I got through it. One of the biggest challenges in my life. Just an exaggeration. But this game has a lot of meaning to me because it's one of my favorite games now. I like, legitimately. The first time I learned about... The first time I decided I wanted to play Super Metroid was when I looked up a top 100 games of all time list, and it was literally on top 10 games, and I was like, I've got to play this. But yeah, puzzles, Super Metroid is challenging the first time you play through it, and then a little bit less challenging the second time you play through it. And once you know where everything is, it's like you can just get through it super fast. I've played it like 5 times since Dread was announced. But yeah, so S tier. Super Metroid is the first S tier on this list. And now we get to Zero Mission, the first one I completed. Zero Mission is a massive improvement on the NES Metroid, the original Metroid. It's a remake. There's not... I mean, it brings... It adds a lot to the remake, like being able to shoot in all directions. It adds a bunch of the upgrades that were introduced in Metroid 2 and Super Metroid. Game Boy graphics, very good improvement. But I also think that adding stuff to the graphics also detracts from the tone of the original one. Like some of the backgrounds I think if they could have just been left as black voids, and that would have been a lot. It would have done it more justice, I think. But good game, adds a lot of context to Samus's backstory. Yeah, if you're not if you've only played one or two Metroid games, you might think that it's not like a lore heavy series. But if you play all of them, the lore will really, the dots will connect, and you'll know that it is a fairly lore heavy series. It's because there aren't usually any cutscenes or anything, which actually Zero Mission does have. Does not mean that there's no story. So, with that said, Zero Mission is B tier. That might be a controversial opinion, putting it lower than Fusion, but that's where I stand. Now, we get to the last one, Metroid Other M. I know some people count it as a 2D Metroid, but I don't, so. And I haven't played through it, so just as well. Metroid Dread is a contender for my favorite Metroid game. With a lot of the other ones, there's a bit of grind to it, in my opinion. Like, even the ones that I put in A and B tier, there's just a kind of like a point where I'm like, okay, do I really want to finish this? Almost every single Metroid game that I played, I've put down at least once. Metroid Dread, I fucking powered all the way through it. I played it I pre-ordered it, the first Metroid game that I bought at release. And I fucking loved it. It's like, oh man, I don't even know. Like, it was so, and it's the first one that I was easily able to get 100% in. The first one I actually got 100% in is Samus Returns. And that was a bit of a grind. But even though I kind of had to do an end game, go find all the stuff, all the puzzles I could figure out, and they didn't feel impossible. Like, once I finally overcame those puzzles, I learned how to fucking shine spark like nobody's business in this game. And so I think Metroid Dread is quite honestly one of the best Metroid games there has been. Now, granted, I have not played any of the Prime games, and so once I play them, probably I'll play those closer to when Prime 4 is coming out. But those might change my mind, but for now, Metroid Dread is absolutely S tier, quite possibly my favorite one. I'm on my third playthrough. As you guys may have seen, I'm uploading my playthrough to YouTube, so if you want to watch that, support the channel a little bit, that would be excellent. But yeah, that's my list. I mean, I'm a new Metroid fan, but I can quite honestly say Metroid has now become one of my favorite series. We got like Paper Mario, Metroid here somewhere, and Earthbound, and like the other weird games that I like somewhere over here. So I guess that's pretty much it. Like, it's been quite something. I can't believe that game's finally out. As soon as Dread, like, I've been a Fairweather fan since I played Zero Mission, but the Metroid Dread's trailer caused me to become a super fan, and I mean, it's changed my life. Not like, I'm not gonna be dramatic about it or anything, but my life is different now that I've played all of the 2D Metroids. So here's to a bright future for a series that has been neglected for many years. I hope you enjoyed watching if you watched. If you do like what you saw, feel free to like, comment, and hit the bell notification bar for any updates when I upload. I plan to be uploading a lot more frequently. Um, hopefully at least 2 times a week. And that's about it. Thank you so much for your support.